what really helped Hyatt was the tutoring department at our school. And many immigrant students have told us what a wonderful program it is that we have. And we want to give people knowledge on how they can best support these immigrant students. Hyatt says that some quotes that she thought that her English was so bad and that she would never learn. But currently now she is an amazing speaker and she is so confident compared to when she first came to America. She's really helpful for the program. And like these are the changes that we want to impact.
Okay, and now we have an immigrant experience slideshow. If you guys want to see it, so oh, okay, so it's so. What do you guys think about this slide? What do you understand? What do you kind of like see or reflect to this kind of graph?
The initial stuff, you're feeling like excited and like to be in a new place, but then you kind of start settling in and you realize that it's shit, this is really hard.
Yeah.
And like it's a new place and I have no everyone. And then after a while, you start settling in and you meet people who really appreciate who you are and who can understand you, and then like maybe you're getting situated in your classes and your teachers better, and then everything kind of starts going up a little.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good explanation for it. That's really this like actually was good, and yeah, yeah, it was this part where it shows most of the immigrant families goes through. They like come in here because some of them kind of feel like they've been waiting for too long. Some of them wait for years to just go to America and be there to start their own life. So starting like coming here is kind of feels good because you have everything. You have the settlement. You have like the government paying a lot of attention to you. By the time you kind of like go, that like seems like it's really hard because you already gone through the culture, you know everything, and now you have this whole roller coaster going down. It's kind of like it's going bad, but it's also still part of the process where you're gonna learn, and it's really hard to actually go through that because it's really exhausting, and it's also sometimes it's really sad. Some of the people cannot really go through that, so they just ended up going back home. But it is really like a good explanation for how immigrants kind of feel it, and yeah. So this is how this slice is.
And notice that it takes a while, the 24 months, it's 2 years. It's a long while to feel uncomfortable.
And then we have the support. So this most of us as tutors, we already gone through this training many times, and also we had a lot of sessions. We also practice all of that, especially with US students. Talking slowly is most of the thing which is really important for them to understand what we're saying, and so also they can like be able to like what how can we like interpret or understand what the other person saying, and so the communication can go better. And talking to the teachers, I feel like whenever I talk in my most of my session, when I talk to the teacher, they always tell me, like, give me a good guidance of like where they are and how their situation is. Like sometimes they'll tell me, oh, they just got here, uh, like like a month or 3 months ago. So like, okay, I know how that feels since um, I was in their experiences, and probably most of us probably know how it is, and it's very hard for them. So we kind of like um, know how to like communicate with them. Physical activities is a really interesting one when learning English because it involves with a lot of movement, which helps them kind of like pick up words and kind of like learn it really fast. Because it's just fun, and it just makes them kind of like, oh, I really want to be more and feel more motivated, and also being in a group kind of like make them feel more communicated, more in like a place where people care for them. And then English exercises, also the same as physical activities. Kind of like, hey, like it's not like quizzing them. It's just kind of more like helping them kind of understand or memorize. So this is more of the techniques.
Some more tutor techniques is to build a supportive relationship. You want to be a friend. You want to try as best as you can to be in a comfortable space with them and be a comfortable person for them. And to do that, you should show interest in their life. Tell them about yourself. Be open so that they can open up. Because when you're vulnerable, that lets people know that you're not an attacker, that you're there to help. Practice repetition. The more you hear something, the more easier it is to recognize that thing. And that ties back into quizzing them, not like quizzing them, but if you were to tell them something like this is a charger, then you should ask them the next time what this is to see if they remember. And then just keep doing that until they give you the right answer, because that's the repetition. They're not going to forget it. And then have patience. It's not easy. And sometimes they might just not feel like interacting, and that's okay, because it is very difficult. So just the sympathy and having patience and being like, yeah, we can work slowly.
Yeah, and also some of them would like to talk about their lives. So when we talk about like showing interest, so it's kind of like, hey, like some of them will like to talk about their own life back in their own country, because they feel like, oh, I feel like I actually there's someone cared about me, someone kind of listened to me. So it's also just so they like kind of feel like very at ease, and also kind of help them with their English and also their skill communication. And we also want to address some of the ongoing issues that's going on in most of, well, probably in our county or district. So we're going to talk about the SOL, which is, or the testing in our school. So if you see the graph, you see there's a comparison between native English speakers in our school and also ES schools. So you see the advanced, getting the advanced diploma is really low for most of them.
And this is because they're put in classes with or not regular, but native speakers. And so then they're given the same assignments as the native speakers. And if they don't know the language, how would you expect them to do the work? We gave you today a question in a language you had never heard. And if that was on your test, you obviously would not get an answer, a correct answer. And then that would lower your grades, and then that would just set you up to not do well into the future, because if you don't have good grades, you're not going to get into a good college. It just sets you back in time when there are other ways that we could help them.
And also it's depressing because most of the immigrant family feel like literally coming here just to educate their own students, their own children, to go to a really good school, to go to a good place, to like be in a really good place which is really safe for them, and also a place where they feel belong. So this kind of issue we need to look out for it more.
That ties into the challenges in education and just discrimination that like Middle Eastern or Muslim or immigrant students face because of the differences in culture and practice and faith and everything else. Ramadan Mubarak, you guys. It's Ramadan right now. But just that, like, they have different beliefs and they don't celebrate Christmas, but they celebrate Eid. And that's a daily thing in their life that makes them different. Like the Muslim students, they wear hijab, and that's a physical representation of how they're different. And that could be really difficult for people or other people who don't know why they do that. And that could lead to them being a little mean or misunderstanding. And we think if people were more educated on why people do what they do, that there would be less discrimination and just less hate. So just recommendations for people is to be knowledgeable, find out why people do what they do, put in the effort to be friendly and don't judge for no reason.
Yeah, and also if you notice as one of the recommendation in most of the ESOL classes, you see them being like in the same class with the same people. That's kind of like a way we see like a really good advancement of seeing people paying attention to them. So of course, it like most of us wasn't aware of that. This is like a really good way of showing how they kind of like most of Muslim students are feeling really confident in those places. Um,
Some tutor technique tools that we want to tell you about is ChatGPT. ChatGPT can translate what you say and then translate back what the other person says, which is not something that other translation tools do. So it's it's a really good tool to use to talk to someone who doesn't speak the same language, or to get knowledge about things that you don't know. You could ask them, why do people fast for Ramadan? Why do people pray 5 times a day? If those are the questions that your client, or those are the questions that you have about your client, and if they don't feel comfortable sharing, you can take this extra step to find out on your own. Another thing is visuals. Because it's difficult to communicate in different languages, it's fun. It's easy to use visuals to say what you're trying to say and to find out what they're trying to say. Um, it's fun. It's fun to mess up, and it's fun to be like, oh, I don't know that's what you were saying. So visuals and videos, it's really helpful for them to see what it is, because if we can't verbally talk, we have other senses that we can use to communicate.
Yeah, and we also just knew Spozhmai showed me herself in ChatGPT. In other tools, in other translating tools, ChatGPT can do translating question in Farsi by speaking. Because we know most of our students in ELs, in EL department, don't know how to write and read. So this is a really good tool if you had any session of that.
We haven't found another tool that does what ChatGPT does. It is the most up-to-date tool on translating Pashto and Farsi, because we have other tools, but they don't translate back what the other person says to English, which is difficult because you can say what you want to say, but you can't hear what they say back to you.
And then we have the physical tools. The other one, the most thing that I want to really highlight is the picture books. The reason why, because most of the immigrant students are either Slav students or never been in school before and never been taught all their lives. So picture books is a really helpful way of like teaching them, like as Spozhmai said, visuals is really important. And for example, like if you have a book and have like a car, just like say, oh, that's a car. It's colors red, and what does it do in English and also both in their language, kind of like helping them. Like gaining knowledge and also knowing in their own language and both in English, because this is like a really good way of helping them of being getting educated. And then we have comics. So if anyone is familiar, of course, with the New Comic Center, which is a center located in our campus in New Comic Center, in Boys and Girls Club, they hold some classes for EL students who are still coming to United States, kind of having a new glimpse of American education. And I saw them doing comics for like learning English, kind of like an advanced way of like, especially, for example, let's put grammar, for example, like they're putting drawing, like drawing actions, for example, like say, I have, I had, I've had, and putting them in other, kind of like drawing them what that person does, kind of like helping them is kind of refreshing, and visualizing, of course, is really important in learning English. So.
It's very suffocating to be bombarded with like so many words in one page. So to have like pictures and comics, it makes reading fun. And you want to build the love for reading so that they themselves can take the step forward to read on their own, because when you have so many words on a page, you don't want to do the work. I'm
They're
sure
so
that's true for most of
unmotivated.
us.
Yeah, none of us want to read a whole page or even write a whole paper.
If you wouldn't do it, why should you expect them to do it?
And then we have traditional changes. So of course, most of us talked about the pull and push factors. So what are the pull and push factors that you guys are said testing? Do not look at the slide, probably showed, but what look up in your mind?
More.
Or
Like career opportunities.
yes.
Those are two perfect ones because those are our reasons.
Yeah.
Amanda's family moved for career opportunities, and my father, he worked with the U.S. Army because he was a translator. He spoke really well English. So when America came to Afghanistan, they were like, work with us. And then he did. And that's why I'm here, because they had connections.
Yeah. Also, I came for a better life here in the United States because our financial problem was real bad, especially after COVID. It was really bad, and I was part of the SLAS students, which just had an interrupted education, and I stayed in school at home for a year until I got a chance to go to the United States to learn. And also, schools in Egypt are really, really expensive, so it's really hard to get education. Some of the people don't even graduate from high school because you have to pay every year, like many, like a lot of you gotta have like a really good financial stability just to to be in school and have a secure future. So it was really hard to keep up on that pace. So when we got the chance to actually go to United States, we were super happy because my parents told me they've been waiting for 22 years to go to United States, which is a real long time, and it's really frustrating. But they were also really happy to be here and also starting all over from scratch, which is kind of hard, but also it's just part of the process.
Another thing to remember is the reason why people choose to leave. Sometimes it's not a choice. Sometimes people have to leave. Education, war, or whatever the reason is, that impacts how they feel about America and how they feel in general about the situation that they're in. It could be positive or it could be negative, and you should find out what kind of reason it is so that you can act accordingly.
Other push factors.
Yeah, more reasons why people choose to leave.
Mhm. Okay.
Activity
Guys,
time.
are you ready? All right, let's go. Oh, what did you do? All right, so
Go ahead. Now, who can tell me what language this is? You are so good at this.
oh my god, you
Yes.
already know languages. It is Arabic.
It is Arabic.
Okay,
But do you know what it says?
Like, but anything in your top of mind, like it is like it's not a daily kind of question, but it's kind of like someone ask you that, like a motivational kind of question.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I don't think you're gonna get it, so we're gonna help you out a little bit. There you go.
Here we go. Or anyone from the chat can tell us what does it mean?
You get a prize if you get it right.
What? I gotta focus more now. Oh gosh. My eyes are processing. Was there
Did you do the whole thing? The whole thing? Okay. You sure are taking your sweet, sweet time. Imagine how the EL student must feel,
like
having to
how do you
struggle
guys-
with the language.
like, how
And
do
then
you guys
as
feel
I
about
would be
English?
as like the teacher telling you to hurry up and telling you we're gonna move on. Put yourself in that situation. Anyone, come on. You got this. You got this. Put it all together. It won't be perfect, but it'll be something.
Yeah.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a motivational kind of like a question.
Somebody text something. Was there a time you felt something was impossible? That's what someone said.
Good job.
In the
Oh, we
chat.
can't see it, but that is
Oh, in the
that is
chat.
correct.
Who said it?
Oh, Sarah.
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah Stein.
That was right. That was totally right.
We give Sarah Stein a virtual hug. That's it.
Way to go, Sarah.
All right. So
Now you have to answer the question.
now you have to answer the question.
Calculus. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Your answer is calculus? Translating that, yes.
this.
We wanted to do this activity to enlighten you a little on how immigrant students feel when they don't speak the language, and just how difficult it is to have that be the norm for everyone else. Like me and Amanda knew what it said, but you didn't. Imagine you were the only person who didn't know in a class full of everyone who did. How awful would that feel? Yeah. But you guys did wonderful. That is the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for attending. We had a great time. Thank you.
I think there was one question in the chat earlier about ChatGPT and how your school used it navigates the fact that ChatGPT can only be used for 18 years and older. Do you all have a subscription or alternates that you can also use?
We use Magic School as well.
Okay, so yeah, I was going to say there are a few platforms like Magic School and I think School AI that is better for privacy for students who are under 18.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Does anyone have any questions for our presenters before we let them go?
Can be anything. Or any question from the chat?
Thank you.
I don't see any other questions in the chat at this time.
It can be from our experiences or anything, or tutor techniques, or even our sessions.
How did your families decide, like, it was to move to the US?
Good question. My mom. Oh,
The question was, how did your families decide to move to the US?
so we had like an organization in Egypt for migrants and immigrants from all over the country. Since Egypt's like an open place, especially it has a marketing place, which is a lot of people come here easily. It was hard in Sudan to do that because there's war, and unfortunately, the organization weren't able to do that. My mom originally wanted to come here because she has relatives here. And my dad, he was like, okay, I'm gonna go with her because of course they want us to like be in better education. So they decided to do all of that like over 20 years ago, and they're still doing on that plan, which is really motivating me um, to be a tutor, kind of like helping other students in learning. Because I also had a lot of hard time being here, and it was really hard for me from the beginning. But the decision was a really good step for us to navigate in our life and take hard decisions. So, okay. Just another question. Was that a good answer?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Gave many great techniques. Okay, the question says you gave many great techniques and technological tools for EL education. However, do you have any ideas for more social based initiatives that will make the transition from the foreign country to the United States easier? Good question. Never thought of that. Transition.
Friendliness. I think when I was a child, it was so easy to be friendly with people because the language really wasn't a barrier. We just played games, and children don't have this like preconceived notion of like what other people should be or what they shouldn't be. There was no bad feelings. It was easy because they were children and I was a child, and we just had fun. So if you could play games with them, have little questions to get to know them, just like things you do in school, but involve them as well.
Yeah, and when it comes to especially teenagers, so it's not, for example, in our ages, it is kind of hard to like be sociable because, of course, so the only thing that I thought it would be easier for me if people could ask me questions more about myself, because I feel like most of the Middle Eastern students kind of like feel like they don't want to how can I say that? Like they don't want to answer a lot, but it's kind of more about our lives in our own countries. Because I feel like those people may, of course, paying attention to us and like listening to us. So I think it's like a good way of like showing interest. If you have any interest, like any familiar interest or similar interest, you can talk about.
It shocks me when people don't know anything about like my religion. Like I'm a Muslim, and that's like the second biggest religion in the world. But people like don't know anything as much as they would about Christianity. But that's just because America is like that's Christian. So I think ask knowledge, be aware.
Most of them will be hesitant, but
Yeah.
time will probably help. They just need time, and they just need to adjust to the place. So, being patient, of course, is a really good way of starting that relationship.
Some girl thought I couldn't wear a hat. Like, just ask.
Some people said I was Muslim too, but anyway, Middle East has a lot of religions.
Diversity.
Yeah.
She went to a Catholic school, and she went.
That wasn't how
Amara-
to mention.
Oh, what was it? Amanda was in school for like 7 hours or something, and I was in school for 4 hours.
Mhm.
It's very diverse.
Right.
There's another one.
I think no.
One challenge I have for anyone beginning speaking. If it's difficult for them to speak, they might open up with physical activities like soccer or sports or something that's about their interests that you can do rather than talk about. Amanda really likes dancing. I really like art. And so I think if I didn't speak the language and you wanted to get to know me, if you gave me a piece of paper and we could draw together.
Sure.
Or dance.
We can do both. Other activities I recommend. Yeah, same as Spozhmai said, I'm definitely gonna show interest in their own activities, and mostly
It's really
Then-
about not giving up.
yeah, and the language, because I really love to teach you some language and stuff. Lots of students in Newcomer Center were like, can I teach you that? What does it mean? So you can talk to me. I was like, yeah. And I actually started a really good relationship. I hope I see her over again. She's a student. We just came from El Salvador. We started talking, and yeah, we became really nice friends. And hopefully I'll see her over again.
Because we're all children. We're all teenagers, or I mean, I don't think some of you are, but we're all we're all people, and we all have different personalities, and those personalities won't just be hidden just because we don't speak the same language. So we can always find something in common to connect, and that the idea is to not give up on that connection. The idea is to try no matter what to find common ground.
And encouraging and keep encouraging them in what they're doing, because of course we came from a really from a place where we have one ideology, but they same proud. But they also, there's some students or teenagers have many ideas and want to do more. So encouraging them is a really good way of tell them not to hold up their own dreams, because of course many of them, they have dreams, they want to do a lot, and yeah, encouraging is a really good important thing. Is a main role in their own lives. So.
And that position falls on you because this is where you're comfortable. You want them to be comfortable as well.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions?
Any more questions?
Okay.
Nope. Okay.
Oh, what is that? What is the question was saying? The question one.
Oh, was that the question?
No. The question.
Oh, the little
did it
question.
say?
Yeah. In the beginning, it was tell me about a time where you are the most happiest. That's what it was asking.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.